Hello, everybody. It is me, Shannon LaBruyere. I am live and loving it tonight. It is June 30th. June 30th, 2019. And I welcome you to Sunday Night Live, where I'm here to help you thrive in change. Mike Leitner, welcome. You're the first one to jump on, so thank you for being here. It is such a joy to be able to share this Sunday night with you. Looking forward to sharing with you some tips about taking bold action, because I am no stranger to bold action. Some of it's worked out great, some of it not so great, but I am a fan of bold action, so I want to talk about it. Hey, Pastor Kevin, how is it in Paraguay? Glad to have you on. Thank you for being here. Woohoo! And if Kathy and Marissa are there, and Sherry and Bill, say hi. Love the smiley face, Mike. Thank you. All right, so before I jump into tonight's topic, hey, Ken, thanks for being here. Before I jump into tonight's topic, I wanted to let you know that there are currently 3 spots left in the Leading Ourselves Mastermind that starts on July 6th. So it's less than a week away. I'm so excited to get that started. I have 3 slots left, so I'm hoping that if you've been thinking about it, it's time to get off the fence and you'll make a decision. Oh, good. Pastor Kevin says they've boldly gone and now they are heading home. That is wonderful news. Safe travels. Godspeed. Yes, they've had a crew, a big team, not just the people that went from our church, but a big team in Paraguay doing great work. So I'm excited to hear the info from that. Pat Patterson, welcome. You're a first timer, I think. So I'm so glad you're jumping on. All right, so last reminder, if you were considering getting into the Lead Yourselves Mastermind, it will be done via Facebook Live, and you can just give me a message right here to let me know you want to take part. It's $25 for 3 weeks, 1 hour on a Saturday morning, and it is going to be a powerful hour. You, my friend, can choose to be in yoga pants and drink coffee. I will be my normal professional self, sadly and regrettably, but I'm willing to get up on a Saturday morning, if you are, meet you here at 8 a.m. and from 8 to 9, have a powerful discussion about how we can lead ourselves. And we'll be using the book that John Maxwell wrote called Leadership Gold. So if you're interested, let me know. We got 3 people, and it is a great deal, Pastor Kevin. I am looking for quantity here. So I figured instead of asking one person to pay $600, I'd ask a few people to pay $25 each and spread the joy. It's a first time I've tried it, so we're going to see how it works. But anyway, you're welcome to join me. Send me a message if you'd like to take part. I would love to send you more info. All right. Without further ado, we are going to get started. And tonight we are talking about boldly going. And before we even take a jump into the boldly going piece, 4 a.m. here in Alaska. Oh, Mike, I am sorry. But I promise you it would be worth it if you're an early riser. Or, Mike, if you want to stay up late, maybe you can just, do an all-nighter and start at 4 a.m. I've got another couple of watchers, listeners, if you will, that follow Sunday Night Live that live in Alaska. So maybe, just maybe, if there were a few of you who wanted to get together, we could combine our resources, and I would be more than happy to get up at 4 a.m. and serve you well. Absolutely. Julie, I'm so glad you're here. It is a pleasure and honor to have you. Gosh, I'm honored. Okay, without further ado, we're going to talk about bold action. Except we're not going to talk about bold action quite yet, because first I have to emphasize, I am 100% a supporter, a fan of baby steps. So I want to encourage you. Every step forward in the right direction is a great step, whether it's a little one or a big one. All right? So don't take what I'm talking about tonight and think, wow, Shannon gave me some great advice. I need to go jump off a cliff. No, you don't. You can take some steps leading up to your big, bold step. And we'll talk about that probably on another Sunday Night Live. But for tonight, I just want you to know we are not saying that baby steps aren't good. And Giselle, mwah, welcome. You got here just in time. We're just getting started. All right, I'm all for baby steps. Every step forward in the right direction is a great step. And I just want to remind you and remind myself that we can paralyze ourselves if we insist on going from A to Z. I love those hearts, Giselle. We can paralyze ourselves if we get fixated on only taking bold steps, okay? Because sometimes the steps between A and Z, the B, C, D, E, F, Gs, all of those little steps that lead up to the big bold step are really necessary for us. They're necessary for us to grow, for us to mature, for us to learn how to deal with people, to lead others, to lead ourselves, right? So those baby steps are often very, very valuable. And there is nothing to be gained by skipping them and just going from point A to point Z, if it's not time. So I want you to think about, did you ever know anybody work with somebody who had been promoted too soon? Stacy, I'm glad you're here. Thanks for being here. And Barbara, I'm glad to see you as well. Have you guys ever worked with anybody that got promoted too soon? They were a young manager, they weren't seasoned, they hadn't been around a long time, and they went and they applied to get promoted, and they got the job. They got promoted. They leapfrogged a bunch of steps, went from being a frontline supervisor to being a mid-level manager, and missed all the steps in the middle. The ones that I've seen that have done that paid a high price because they didn't learn all of the things from step A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. They just went from point A to point G, and the people that they were leading suffered, and they suffered too because they had to learn a lot of lessons a difficult way. So if you're in the stage of your journey toward your purpose, toward your passion, if you're in the stage of your journey where you're taking little steps, don't resent those little steps. Welcome, Gina. So glad you're here. Don't resent the little steps because they are very important in your journey toward fulfilling your purpose. Everything that you've got in front of you is there for a reason. It's good. But there comes a time when bold action is the only thing for it. I love this quote. It's a quote from David Lloyd George, and he was the British Prime Minister during World War I, and he said this: "Don't be afraid to take a big step because you can't cross a chasm in 2 small jumps." I want you to think about that for a minute. Don't be afraid to take a big step. You can't cross a chasm in 2 small jumps. Sometimes it's just gotta be the big one. You've heard the phrase, go big or go home. Sometimes, I would say, there always comes a time in everybody's life where the bold step is the step that's necessary. Oh, let's see what Mike has to say. Happened to me, went from leading 62 people to leading 5,200. Talk about a big step. Oh my gosh. Mike, I would love to learn a little bit more about what that was like for you and what was like for the people that you were leading. I know that you're a student of leadership. I know you're on the John Maxwell team with me, which is awesome. And so I've got to believe that some of that helped you to make that transition. But that's got to be a shock. 62 people to 5,200. I don't even know how do you send a memo to 5,200 people, right? How do you have a meeting with 5,200 people? All right, so anyway, big steps. Sometimes we've got to take them. Sometimes it's time. We can't cross a chasm in 2 small jumps. Now, when my little boy, my oldest, was about 4 years old, we had friends who had a deck. And the deck off the back of their house, it kind of went off a cliff. Not a cliff, it was a steep hill. So when you went out on the deck, you were a couple of stories above ground. And it was beautiful. You had a beautiful view. It was lovely back there. We went there to visit one time, and our 4-year-old, for the first time ever, was petrified to go out on that deck. He did not want to step out on the deck, and we couldn't figure out what was going on. He'd never been afraid before. And what we discovered was he had noticed, in his 4-year-old brain, this wasn't something that he'd never registered this before. He'd been out on the deck a lot of times, had never registered that there were spaces between the boards, and he could see 2 stories down through those spaces, and he refused to take a step. He refused. He refused to take the bold action that it was going to take to get him out onto that deck. He wasn't going to cross that, to adults, little tiny little slit. For him, with his little feet and his little 4-year-old brain, he's looking at it and he's afraid he's going to fall through. I felt that way. I have felt that way on the brink of bold decisions. And so I want to help you. I want to help you tonight to think about, if you're facing the bold decision, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about the bold decision that you're getting ready to make? I love what, I think it's Abraham Maslow says this. We are always stepping forward into growth or backward into safety. Forward into growth, backward into safety. When it's time to take the bold step, do you get right up there and it's time to step out onto that deck and cross that chasm, and it's going to take one big step and you shrink back? Have you ever done that? I've done it. I've done it. I did it. I'd get so close to making the decision that I think I want to leave the Postal Service, and then I would back up. Oh, no, that's scary. You know, nobody leaves. Everybody goes to the Postal Service and stays. Thanks, Mike. Yeah, we can learn a lot from our kids. And I never use examples of what my kids do as to try and minimize what adults go through. I'm not trying to make it juvenile. I really do think that some of the ways that our kids think really show us some of the big picture. And especially when we consider that no matter what level we're on, I believe we all have room to grow, right? We've all got somewhere we can go. We can get better. We can be better than we were yesterday. And so the Shannon that you're looking at today is far more mature than the Shannon that you would have seen 10 years ago or 50 years ago, right? And so in a sense, we're kind of all kids on a growth journey. So I love looking at kids for those examples. But I can also relate, because I sometimes feel that same kind of fear that I used to feel when I was going to get on the monkey bars on the playground and actually have to start with 2 hands. I don't know if you've ever done the monkey bars. You get with 2 hands, and then you've got to let go with 1 hand and grab the next bar. And I can't tell you how many recesses I hung there, not willing to take the bold move. Right? And finally getting my nerve up and letting go and grabbing it. And what a joy it was to feel the safety. Yeah, there's a bar there. I'm going to be okay. I'm thinking it's the Flying Walendas. Those are the trapeze artists, right? I heard a quote from one of them recently, and they said that you can't be a trapeze artist. You can't fly without letting go. You are not going to be able. So we're talking about bold steps. Roseanne, good to have you here from Barbados. I love it. Thank you for joining in. We're talking about that bold move and how we sometimes get scared to let go. But sometimes it's just our brain that's telling us that it's scary. And we can take that fear and set it aside. So, you know what? I appreciate the warning. Step aside. I'm going to move forward. That's what it takes to make the bold move. We have to find some place, as Seth Godin says, to put the fear. So if you're up against facing, I should say, a bold move, your first step is to find somewhere to put the fear. At some point, that fear is not serving you anymore. It's given you the warning. It's told you all of the bad things that could happen. It's talked about the apocalypse if you make that bold move. Shannon, if you let go of that monkey bar, you could fall and you could skin your knee and you'll be embarrassed in front of the whole playground. And eventually, 7-year-old Shannon had to say, you know what, fear? I'm setting you over here. Thank you for sharing. I've heard what you had to say, and I'm going to make my choice. Thank you, but no thank you. We have to find a place to put the fear. Set it aside. It'll come back. Trust me, it never goes away. But when you find a place to put it, so that you can take the bold action that you need. You are going to feel such freedom when you get on the other side. Everything good lies on the other side of our fear. So find a place to set it aside so you can take that bold action. All right, so this is the question I want you to ask yourself before you take your bold move, all right? This is the question. Ask yourself this: am I running from something, or am I running to something? Taking a bold step when you're running from something is a blind step. It's blind. You don't see what's ahead of you. You're facing back, right? And what have we said? I've said it 100 times probably. Don't look back. You're not going that way. When we are preparing to make a bold move, if we are doing it because we are running from something, we are going to get ourselves into trouble because we can't see where we're going. That's not a bold step. That's a fear-driven step. Now, I'm not talking to people who are in physical danger, all right? I don't ever want anybody who's in physical danger, who's in emotional peril, to not run from something. It's appropriate to run from things that are trying to hurt us, but it's even better when we can be running to something. Even if we're running from something that could potentially cause us harm, it is important for us to run to something that we know is going to be better, that is going to be solid, right? Chanela, I'm glad you're here. Thank you for joining us. All right, so before you make a bold move, I want you to ask yourself, am I running from something or am I running to something? For me, one of my bold steps, excuse me, one of the boldest steps that I've ever taken in my whole life was deciding to leave the safety and security of the Postal Service. I worked for the Postal Service, ultimately, 35 years, 5 months, 9 days. I retired from the Postal Service at my earliest eligibility. I took a cut in my annuity. I took a cut in my benefits. I paid a price. I'm not complaining. I am grateful that I was able to leave with some things. So that's a wonderful thing. But my bold move was deciding to leave the safety and security of that organization and step out on my own. That was my first big, bold decision. When I made that decision, I was running from something. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I was running from a job that had transformed because the agency had downsized. They had eliminated jobs. The job that I had done my whole career, or almost my whole career, that I loved was eliminated. And I was put in a position that I didn't get to use my best gifts. I didn't get to bring my best work every day. And I was turned down for an opportunity to get a position that allowed me to do it. And I got bitter. I got bitter about it. And I got headaches. And I started experiencing anxiety. And it was so miserable. And I thought to myself, man, I don't know if I can take this anymore. And I started just contemplating the bold move because I was uncomfortable. That's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. Discomfort sometimes is our clue. Like, yeah, you need to make a change, Shannon. You need to make a change, right? So my first bold decision was I'm going to leave. And it was made mostly based on running from something. But I very quickly decided that I was not going to run from something. I was going to run to something. And my second big decision was this. I decided, the bold decision, to pursue my purpose. And in my case, my purpose is to equip people and inspire them to thrive in the midst of change. Change they love, change they hate, change they invite, change they didn't ask for. I am totally passionate about making sure that people can have the tools and the mindsets they need to be able to be resilient and navigate their lives. So my bold decision was, I want to be a trainer and a coach. I want to help people lead themselves through change. That was a bold decision. The next bold decision was this: writing a check. It's not the same for everybody, but I will tell you this: everybody who prepares to make a bold move is going to have to write a check. there is a sacrifice involved. It may be that you have to put in time. It may be that you have to drop old mindsets. It may be that you have to sign up for a class or pursue a degree, or in my case, pursue a certification so that I could be a leadership trainer and a coach. Whatever it is, when you decide to make a bold move, don't be fooled that it's going to be free, and don't turn away just because there's a cost. Every good thing that we ever get involves a cost. And we can be willing to pay it because it's worth it, not because we're running from something. We are willing to pay the cost that it takes to make that bold move because we are running to something. Bold moves, when we're running to something, are powerful. They are powerful. Dawn, welcome. I am so glad you're here. I love you. It's so good to see you. Dawn is one of my road trip buddies from the 80s. I will not say anymore. But we had a grand old drive one time, a bold move, if you will, to go down to Jackson, Mississippi, and it was pretty great. Anyway, my bold move involved paying a price. I had to pay a price in security, right? Because I was going to be leaving an organization that had been very secure. Even in the midst of upheaval, I never had to worry about my paycheck. I never had to worry about my benefits. I never had to worry about the annuities that had been promised to me, the future. So again, I'm going to say it. I'm not complaining. I loved the Postal Service. But my bold move involved me saying, you know what? I'm going to have to run to something better because this isn't for me. This isn't where I need to spend the rest of my days. I've got something better to do. I made my decision. I paid the price. I wrote the check. I sacrificed my security. I sacrificed a chunk of change, invested in my future. And just in case you ever wondered, if you're not willing to invest in yourself, nobody else will be either. You've got to know, I need to make a bold move, and it's worth the investment because I know where I'm going. And then the next bold step, after making that decision, I'm going to leave at my earliest eligibility, that was at the time was a little less than 5 years away. I had to boldly decide over and over and over as those 5 years transpired, as my plan unfolded, as I was able to get certified, as I was able to become a coach, as I was able to start building my business, I had to continue to make the bold decision that I was still running to something better. Because what happened when I started developing myself, when I made that bold decision, what happened in my work situation was one of the senior executives, the senior executive in my district, called me on the phone and said, Shannon, I need you to go do your coaching and training over here in this challenged work site so that those people can have a better work environment and they can give great service to our customers. And I was blown away when I got that call. That was amazing. And it felt so good to be able to do that. And I was tempted to say, I'm going to abandon my bold decision because this feels kind of safe and I can still do what I kind of like. And it's exciting to be able to use my new skills as a coach and a trainer and equip these people to navigate change. It was so tempting to abandon my bold decision. But I want you to know this. I boldly decided that I was not going to consider stopping. You are going to come to a point when you've made your bold decision that you second guess yourself, that you say, you know what, maybe it wasn't so bad in this place in my life as I thought it was. Maybe this isn't what I'm good. I can settle for this. You don't have to settle, but I want you to ask yourself this question. What are you running to? I was able to stick with my bold decision because I was so convinced that I was running to something that was so much better. It was so much better than what I thought I was running from, even when that situation improved, even when my postal situation became more of something that I enjoyed and felt like I could actually do well in and contribute, use my gifts, my talents. But it didn't sway me from my bold decision. I continued to make the bold choice that said, I will not stop and stay. I will continue the journey that I've begun to make that bold move. And that bold decision making continued. I'd have to talk myself into it sometimes. I would have to tell people who would say, well, you know, if you decide to stay at the post office, we can do blah, blah, blah. And I would have to say to them, oh, no, no, no. I'm leaving at my earliest retirement date. I told everybody that I worked with, I'm going to be leaving at my earliest retirement date. So there was no negotiating it. Nope, I'll be leaving. I'll be gone February 2019. And so I continued to make the bold decision right up to February 28th, 2019. And I was a nervous wreck. I had no idea what was going to happen because this, my friends, was the chasm that could not be cleared in 2 small jumps. There was going to be a break. And I was nervous. I was apprehensive. I'm not going to lie. I was a little bit scared. But I had set my plan in motion. I had taken bold action, and I knew what to do with the fear because I knew where I was going. And I asked that fear to step aside, and I said, I'm going. And on March 1st, 2019, I was on the other side of a chasm that was, as I had approached it, looked like it was the size of the Grand Canyon. But when I was on the other side of it, it looked like the little boards on the deck with the spaces in the middle that our 4-year-old son was afraid he was going to slip through. It is amazing what being on the other side of that chasm does for your confidence, for your joy, for your enthusiasm. It's amazing. Sylvia, I'm glad you jumped on, and let's see you say boldly go where no man has gone before. Yes, these are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. I was going to say Shannon Prize, but that wouldn't even work. But I'm so glad. I was thinking a lot about Star Trek. I wish I had a Star Trek uniform. I would have worn one. And Ricky, I'm glad you jumped on. We're talking about making the bold step. Make that bold move. It's great to take the baby steps. They help us learn and grow. But there comes a time where you take the baby step, baby step, baby step, dip, 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 dip. And then you get to a place where only the big, bold step is going to get you where you want to be. And that's what I want you to be ready to take. I want you to know that if you are running to something, not running from something, if you're running to something, if you've set your GPS, if you've set your sight on a goal, there will be opportunities for you to take bold steps every section of that journey, and you can take them. You can take them because you know you've got everything you need within you to do what needs to be done next. You've got it. And I just want you to know that the bold step that you're preparing to take, look off in your future. Where are you heading? What's it going to take to get there? And what's it going to cost? Be prepared to pay the price. I can vouch for this. I do not regret one moment leaving the money, leaving the security, leaving the lull of the day-to-day that my postal job offered me. I don't regret it for one moment because I know where I'm going. I am heading somewhere. I'm here now. I've achieved one of my goals already, but I've got so many more. I'm going good places. I don't know right now what my next big, bold move is going to be, but I know that it will be a big one, and it will require courage, and it will require me to count the cost. I just want you to know it is worth it. Rebecca, I am so glad you jumped on. I've loved your comments tonight. Mike, thank you so much for your comments. Sylvia, I loved it. You guys are great. Thank you for joining me as we get ready to launch into Monday. We get ready to boldly go where no man has gone before, because let's be honest, not a one of us have lived Monday yet. Well, I don't know what the time, what is the time zone in Barbados? Maybe, Giselle, maybe you've already been in tomorrow. I'm not sure. But most of us here in the United States, we've not lived tomorrow yet. We're all boldly going somewhere where we've never gone before. I want you to go with confidence, to go with enthusiasm. I want you to go with tools so that you're not boldly going with nothing, with no support, with no guide to how to think so that you can be successful. I'm going to leave you with this quote. Mwah! I'm going to leave you with this quote. It's from Henry David Thoreau, and he says this. He says, if one advances confidently in the direction of his dreams and endeavors to live the life he has imagined, he will meet with a success unexpected in common hours. If one advances confidently in the direction of his dreams and tries to live the life which he's imagined, he'll meet with a success unexpected in common hours. I want you to know that that is true. When we boldly go, when we try with all our might to live the life that we knew we were created to live into the purpose that we were designed to fulfill, impact this world, not just be success, but be significant. When we do that, we will meet with success. Unexpected success. Resources come our way. Comrades come and link arms with us. We get what we need because we take that bold step. You can do it. I'm so glad you joined me tonight. Thank you everyone for sharing Sunday Night Live, and I look forward to talking to you again next Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern, live right here on Facebook. And for those of you who are interested in taking part in a 3-week mastermind, it starts Saturday morning, July 6th. I have 3 spots left, and you can join me from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern on Facebook Live. It'll be a private group, and you are going to be blown away with what happens when diverse people come together and learn tools, learn principles, and then talk about them in a way that allows us to leave that meeting, leave that mastermind class transformed and primed for action. It's not just learning, it is transforming and acting. You are going to love it. 3 spots left. Just drop your name in the comments and let me know if you're interested. $25. You can pay it on PayPal. It's a piece of cake. Cash in some bottles, right? What price are you willing to pay to boldly go? Terry, I am glad you jumped in. I'm getting ready to sign off, but I know you'll go back and watch this from the beginning if you're interested. You guys take care. Mwah. Bye.